And welcome back to the Country Telegraph. We have Trevor Hold there. He's going to talk about Adare, which is a locality in the Lockyer Valley region of South East Queensland and is absolutely magnificent. It's about 10 minutes drive from Gatton and positioned between Gatton and Esk, and considers, and by the way, a big hello to those at Esk, we know them quite well there, and considered a quiet residential and farming area. Trevor Hold is a farmer, publisher, counsellor and provider of advocacy services. Recently started the Australian Advocate, a monthly publication covering a great range of issues from agriculture, environment, social and community issues. Trevor, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having us, Mike.
Tell us about Adare. I mean, we keep putting up in your right-hand corner that you are from Adare, but we don't know much about it.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like you say, just slightly north of Gatton. There's no shops or there's no service stations or there's nothing really available in Adare. It's just like you say, a small community of residential and farming operations. Adare was a large farming property in the day, sort of thing, just been subdivided up into different areas and different estates over the years. So pretty much telling people, it's probably Gatton, which is where we go shopping or go into town and get a lot of stuff done in the Gatton communities. All of just further east of us is the Plainlands estates, where they've got the Bunnings now and the Coles and Aldi and a lot of the bigger shopping centres there just up the road, which is about 15 minutes, 20 minutes drive away. So just a small little community close to the dams and like you say, the beautiful area of Esk and Atkinson's Dam and that sort of stuff. But a beautiful community, farming community that's got a lot to offer, I suppose, in regards to peace and harmony.
What about the fuel inverted commas crisis, which it is, and a lot of it because of mismanagement? How's that affecting your area?
Well, I haven't had too much problems personally with fuel. A lot of the big names, BP and Caltex and that here are on the highway. They haven't limited any fuel as of yet that I'm aware of. There has been a lot of fuel disruptions in a lot of the smaller independent fuel stations and a lot of these little townships around, but the big name brands on the highway seem to be keeping up with supply at the moment. I have heard it's a bit of a hit and miss when you go to fill up your trucks on your tanks on your regional properties. Some people say they've sort of got all their tanks full, and other people say they're waiting for the trucks to come. So there's a little bit of hit and miss, I suppose. Depends on the provider and depends on I suppose individual circumstances there. But overall, I don't think it's really affected people's way of life as of yet. But there is that worry. And I suppose instead of waiting till your tank's quarter full before you fill up, I think we're filling up at 3/4 full and keeping it full just in case.
A great idea, but if it all stops, then as a economist said this morning, that we could very well have no food on the shelves because the trucks will not be able to deliver. And we'll talk about how government, whether it's local, state or federal, they can mess things up. Which we'll talk about the Gympie Regional Council in a second, but it's a very bad thing, this fuel crisis, and I don't know what's going to happen. We all talk about that there'll be no food on the shelves, but the poor buggers that have grown the food won't be able to sell it, and if they can't sell it, what happens then?
Yeah, and it's interesting, and it's a similar scenario, obviously, through COVID, Mike. It's just that fear that people have, and even myself personally, like normally we'd just buy food, on a day-to-day basis or whatever, every couple of days or whatever, and not to have too much in surplus here. But worrying times and worrying about the fuel supply and the food on the shelves means that people are probably buying more long life food, tins food and powdered milk or whatever to stay on the shelves longer, just in case there is a supply disruption. And from literally the other week of living day to day, basically with our food supplies here in the house, we've sort of stocked up about a month's worth of worth of food in our cupboards now, just in case. And that's the sort of thing that we're hearing throughout, which creates other issues as well, because in a cost of living crisis, I suppose, if people are stocking up on food, then that's disposable income that they're not spending on their cafes and local shopping with their disposable income as well. So it sort of has a two-way effect, doesn't it?
It does indeed. Could you imagine? I mean, there used to be a song, "The Pub with No Beer." Could you imagine the pubs with no beer? There would be a mutiny. That would most Australians would go, "Nah, that's not right."
Yeah, yeah. It's not just, I suppose, like you say, suppliers and pubs. It does affect everyone's life, this shortage, and I feel it is quite disappointing. I know you sort of touched on, incompetence to some degree on the management of this fuel thing and this war that's going on. I suppose they're calling it the Donald Trump war there with Iran and that little strait where all the oil comes from, but. These circumstances didn't happen overnight with this war in Iran. These are circumstances that are built from Australian losing sovereignty over its ability to be self-sufficient over many decades, whether it's the steel industry, whether it's manufacturing, obviously the fuel refinery processes, and a lot of it stems from power policies and the fact that expensive power supplies are not empowering people to be able to invest in these major facilities, steel-making facilities, or manufacturing facilities, or refinery facilities due to ongoing or increasing costs of power. I feel that's a massive issue that is stemmed from this horrible situation that we're sort of could be facing if this war continues.
Which it will. When you go to war, a couple of things you need to understand: have an exit strategy. Oops. Is there's a middle, there's a start, middle, and end. The next thing is that all military minds will say the same thing: that wars have their own mind, and you cannot control the way it goes. It will go in any direction it wants to, as we're seeing at the moment. Let's talk about the Australian Advocate. Last time we had a chat about the gun control laws, and at this time, as you see on the right hand side of your screen in a sec, there's a chemical stuff up by the Gympie Regional Council. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, and I don't know whether you've got it down there. I went for a drive here in our regional council, so I don't feel this is isolated to the Gympie Shire Council at all. I feel there's a reckless distribution of poisons across a lot of the areas here in Queensland. I went from a drive from here to Toowoomba, and there's a famous 20-kilometre road called the Gatton bypass here, and every sign or every post along that way, or every them white markers on the side of the roads or whatever along the way, had a big square of poisoned area around these signages. So that's what they're a lot, and I'm not sure how long that's been going on for, or it's just something that we sort of noticed going on through our investigative stories. But the disappointing thing is with the Gympie paper article there is the person that raised the concerns, the organic farmer that raised concerns about these toxic chemicals contaminating his waterways, was the council's reaction. Actually made a big statement at the front of his place, in the easement at the front of his place, and poisoned a big massive square of roadside area just to demonstrate we can do what we want and you can't stop us. So I feel that arrogance within this within the community workers, or the council workers, rather than working with the community and making an effort to value what the community values, and this guy absolutely values his organic farm practices, and to do things like that, vindictive things like that on public money is atrocious, and I don't really have any words for that. But really this is something that we're moving forward with in our campaign, because I do believe it's irresponsible waste of taxpayers' money, but also distributing these chemicals when there are alternative methods, and we're developing a world first primary producers utility vehicle as a biosecurity process that we can use to treat these sort of areas without the use of toxic poisons, using low flow hot water to manage these areas if they don't want to mow around it with the slasher. I believe that's what the issue is. I'm still yet to explore that, but just a blatant disregard to people's values and private property practices is really alarming.
Yeah, it's a shocker, and organisations such as councils and those of that same ilk can create, especially when you're a smaller community, it's like saying, don't you speak out of line, I'm the one that's controlling your life and I'm going to show you what we can do to you because you are just a ratepayer. True, but you've gone through that stuff yourself too with the issues with fire ants. We won't go into that at the moment, but it's been pretty wild too. And our next guest from WA is doing a great job looking after the environment and trying to get rid of those pesky wind turbines or windmills, which we'll find out very shortly in Geograph Bay. Just quickly, if somebody wants to find out more about the Australian Advocate, how do they do that, and how do they get hold of it?
Yeah. So we just publish it on our website, Australian Advocacy Group website. So we're a membership group trying to create better outcomes for the community. You can find us at aagpilot.com. But just interesting coming up in the April edition, Mike, just quickly, what does a midweek grocery shop at Coles have in common with the CIA counter-terrorism operations? We'll find out in the April edition coming up soon.
Now you've got me interested. I'm trying to think. They eat the same cereal? Maybe not. Maybe
it's far more sinister than that, Mike, and you'll read more with our investigative journalist Rob Mallet. Does an amazing job creating all these stories. So surely stay tuned for that.
And just one more thing, Senator Malcolm Roberts. Sorry, he in this last edition we've seen he's in that. Malcolm's going to do one each month, is he?
Yeah. He's been in every month. Yeah. We stay in regular contact with Malcolm. He's doing amazing work. I feel that if everyone in Parliament worked as hard as what he has and talked to the community, then I feel the world would be a better place, especially Australia anyway.
Malcolm Roberts is one in a million, and he's a very good representative of the common person in Queensland and Australia. Trevor Hold, thank you so much for your time. What are you doing for the weekend? I said terrible things about you, that you probably make your own stuff and they call it petrol, and then you woof.
No. Well, I've got my court case coming up on Wednesday, Mike. So obviously a lot more paperwork and preparing for my big court case coming up on Wednesday. A lot of work more on this primary producer utility vehicle, the biosecurity thing to get the vehicle up to registration, so we can start doing some demonstrations and show council how to responsibly manage these easements without the use of toxic chemicals flowing into our creeks and waterways.
I'll have a drink to that one. We've actually, so what we might do is sometime next week we'll talk about that. I think that's a great topic to talk about, and I think it's very important. And your journey, one day they should write a book about it, because you have been, you've been attacked on all sides, and I think you're doing a wonderful job, and I think you're a very good person. In fact, I had the manager for Merv Hughes call me, and he thought it was Merv with that big wild moustache, but it's not Merv Hughes, but you do look like him. You're a lot slimmer. That's
yeah. I work on trying to get a bit of a look, I suppose, just so people don't forget me, Mike. That's all.
I won't forget you. Not with that. No, not with that one. Merv Hughes. Trevor Hold. Thank you so much. Thanks so much for your time. Have a good one. This is the Country Telegraph.